What's up, War Report family? We are back with another great edition of the Auburn Express, powered by the War Report. I'm your host, Mike G, and thank you so much for turning us up and turning us on day 2 of SEC Media Days. Joining me as he does every single Media Days, and whenever we can, is my good friend Jake Crain from Crain & Co. Go check them out on YouTube. Jake, he was asked a lot of questions. Expectations are rising for Auburn, it seems, this year. He's taken a tone of not only positivity, but almost like he's embracing the expectation that Auburn should be a winning football team.
Well, first off, thanks for having me. It's always great to talk with you. Glad you're doing well, my friend. Yeah, and he's got to kind of do that, right? Like at this point, it's all riding on what happens on the field in year 3. It feels like this is the year that we have been building up to since Hugh Freeze got the job. So whether the confidence that he's exuding here is manufactured or not, you kind of have to do that because Auburn fans, we've gotten everything else. We've had really good recruiting classes. We got great facilities, right? The belief is still mostly there. I know, he had some problems early with some factions of the fan base, but winning fixes a lot of stuff. The last thing he's got to do is show proof of concept on the field, and you can't miss at quarterback again. So he should be confident because after going into year 3 with you as the head of the program, there should be rising expectations, especially since you haven't had a ton of success on the field the past couple of years. So the math adds up politically and internally. He's right to do both.
Jackson Arnold made the trip. Connor Lew made the trip. But Keldrick Falk made the trip for the second year in a row. Lots of talk about offense and what Auburn needs to do offensively, but defensively, DJ Durkin returns one of the most disruptive units, not just in the SEC, but in college football. I think Keldrick came up with like 9 sacks last season. He should be a double-digit sack guy. He made preseason All-SEC. What do you expect from DJ Durkin defensively this year, man? I feel like this should be a top 15 defense.
Well, from a personnel standpoint, I think it can get there. I'm a little bit nervous about the depth in the front 7. Now, the first 11 that Auburn's going to run out there and the first 7 that they run out there in the front 7, they're going to be pretty sporty. It's what happens when guys are gassed, right? What happens, and we all know injuries happen. If somebody goes down, how deep are you to be able to maintain success throughout the season? Because at the end of the day, it's not about your first 22. It's really about your first 46 to 50. Now, as far as what DJ can do with Keldrick, the best part about Keldrick is you can do whatever you want with him. You probably sell hot dogs at halftime and do really well doing that. And teams are going to have to game plan around Falk, and DJ knows that. So he's always going to game plan, assuming they will have, whether it's chips, right, whether it's keeping the running back in longer, whether it's having certain slide rules that kind of shade to his side most of the time. He's going to know that they've got to rob Peter to pay Paul somehow, whether it's the tight end having to delay to get out in a route, which makes it easier for linebackers to cover them because of that. So you're able to kind of guess what's going to happen to you. What I'm interested to see is, with all the attention, it's just like at wide receiver. When you have one dog wide receiver, they're going to double him, they're going to bracket him, which means somebody else should be able to step up and make some big plays. I'm ready to see who the guy on the other side, on the edge, how well he can do when he's got a lot of one-on-ones, when they're not game planning around him, because the door should be open for that guy to make a bunch of plays. And that's where the depth piece I'm interested to see. But, yeah, and as far as DJ goes, I was joking with Coach Freeze about this last night. We rush 3 and blow more coverages than anybody I've ever seen in my life. I mean, it's just the truth. If you watched Auburn last year, and a lot of it was on 3rd down and long, you're going to rush 3, you're dropping 8, right? There should be no space, yet teams were able to find space against Auburn. So how much does Auburn rush 3 this year? I think you're probably going to see less of it because I know they look at the numbers and they look at the tape, and the one knock on Auburn's defense last year was when it came to the clutch downs, or the money downs as we call them, 3rd down and 4th down, they weren't great. They were incredible on 1st and 2nd down, but it's just like, dating. I can be the nicest guy ever and go pick you up and take you out to eat, but if I'm afraid to ever go in and kiss you, we're just always going to be friends.
Auburn football's defense in the friend zone on 3rd down.
In the friend zone on 3rd down. There's a quote for you. You got to remember that one.
Look, they made DJ Durkin the 2nd highest paid assistant in the country this offseason for a reason. They obviously like the development that's happening on that side of the ball. So I expect they're going to be able to develop depth as the season goes along that defensive line. But talk to me about linebacker, man. DeMarcus Riddick should be one of the more not only productive, but he's got some of the best potential at linebacker in the conference with how much he was able to play last year. And they feel like he's going to be more assignment sound. Do you see an all-SEC first team selection coming out of that linebacker room potentially?
I mean, if anybody's going to win it, it's going to be him. I mean, he looks like what Georgia has. He looks like what Bama has at linebacker. And not that Auburn's had just awful linebackers, but it doesn't resemble what we're used to seeing at Auburn at the linebacker position. The thing with Riddick that I think is the most impressive is not just his ability to get downhill, not just his ability to hang in there with offensive linemen, to take on leads, things like that, go put his face in it. He also moves really well laterally. Like, he's not a coverage liability either. Like, whether it's zoning, whether, they're picking up the back when it comes to their side out of gun formations or whatever, you don't worry about them, going quads and trying to isolate him and be able to take advantage of him. But then also, just like at quarterback or any other position, the longer you play, the more the game slows down. The game should be a lot slower for Riddick this year, and you've got another year in that playbook. The terminology is now ingrained in your head, so you're able to slow it down on the field, but know the calls quicker, and then make sure everybody else is lined up. I think you're going to see a more leadership role from him, even though he's a young guy, and the talent's just through the roof. So, if anybody's going to win all SEC first team out of that linebacker room, it's going to be DeMarcus Riddick.
Experience allows you to play more instinctively as a player. Hugh Freeze, during our one-on-one interview this summer, talked about a play during Missouri where he had a guy dead to rights and just over-athleted it, man. He was just too fast. His feet were moving too fast. His mind was moving too quick. He overran the quarterback, and he said, Mike, he had him dead. He had Brady Cook dead. I think that if you can get just a little bit more assignment sound production out of that room, again, should be a top 15 unit. I think they have the potential to be a top 10 unit. But you got to solve that third down thing there. Going back to the offensive side of the ball, Jackson Arnold. Jake, it feels like Hugh's bet a lot of his future at Auburn on Jackson Arnold this year. Like, it feels like the future of Hugh Freeze at Auburn is riding on Jackson Arnold's arm. A lot of people felt like Peyton Thorne underwhelmed. He did do much better in year 2 than he did in year 1. 2,700 yards passing is a little closer to what we thought Peyton Thorne would be in year 1. But Auburn failed to make plays from the QB position when they needed it the most. You stacked the deck around Jackson Arnold. You went out, you got Cam Coleman. You gave Peyton Thorne, Keandre Lambert-Smith. You lost him, and you replaced him with Eric Singleton Jr. You got Perry Thompson, who's a top 30 overall kid. Malcolm Simmons, another one of those young guys, 200 miles per hour, but doing the right things this year. You've got Horatio Fields in from Wake Forest. They have talent on talent. You talked about DeMarcus Riddick looking like what Georgia and Bama has. This wide receiver room looks like what Ohio State has. It looks like what Texas has. Offensively, what does it look? What does a successful year for Auburn look like for Hugh Freeze on offense?
Well, again, just to your first point about Hugh, you can't be a quarterback guy and an offensive guy and miss at quarterback 3 years in a row, like at a place like Auburn. It's just, it's be bad at what you're bad at. Don't be bad at what you should be best at. When I look at Jackson Arnold, and I'll get to the pieces around him because I think the offensive line is going to be even better too. But he has all the tools. It's like I got a buddy of mine. He's not handy at all, but he has millions of tools in his garage. He just don't know how to use them. Jackson Arnold has all the tools. You can see it when he moves, when the ball comes out of his hand. He does some things, and you're like, oh, my goodness, I see why this guy's Gatorade Player of the Year and 5-star and all that. But it feels like he just doesn't really know how to use them the right way. And I know Oklahoma last year, you had injuries. It was a struggle bus for them. I don't think they were coached very well as far as a rhythm standpoint on offense. But if you're Jackson, you don't have to be Batman this year. Just be a really good Robin. Make the right reads on the zone read RPO game. Get the ball to your guys in space. Sometimes Cam Coleman is covered, and he's still not covered. Give your guys the ball. And so having a consistent run game, which last year was the most surprising part about Auburn for me. They were not balanced. Everybody knew they couldn't throw the ball consistently, yet they were still able to run the ball with success. I mean, you got to give that offensive line for Auburn last year a lot of credit. Pass pros got to get better. But as far as Jackson Arnold, you just have to drive the car. You don't have to win the race. Like, it'd be great if you turned out to be this unbelievably elite player, but the beauty about the quarterback position is you can have guys that make simple, smart decisions, throwing the check down, throwing the underneath, taking what the defense is giving you, and have a ton of success instead of going out there and try to show everybody that, oh, it was Oklahoma, it wasn't me. I'm the star of the show, I'm going to go ball. So he's got every opportunity to do it. He has the tools to do it, and it's Coach Freeze and that offensive staff's job to shape him and have him make the smart play, because you never go broke making a profit.
This morning, when I got a chance to sit down with Hugh Freeze, I did mention to him, he took a lot of heat last year for maybe not running Jarquez Hunter as much as he should have at times. He says this every time in response to this. He said, well, I'm not going to run into bad boxes. And I couldn't help but think, Jake, could some of those bad boxes be created, a making of your own, because people know you can't throw the ball effectively and consistently?
Yeah, well, anytime you're not balanced, like, they're going to know what the only thing you can do. They're going to pigeonhole you. That's what the defense wants. I'm a defensive guy. I love when you're not balanced, because I'm just going to game plan to, stop the one thing you do well. And I think last year there were times, and there's a difference, obviously, between a designed run call and then zone read or RPO. You're giving the quarterback an option to pull the ball and run it, to pull the ball and throw it, as opposed to we're running power. There's no play where this play you're handing the ball off to the running back. And I thought there were times last year where Auburn ran into heavy boxes and still had success. I would rather run into a heavy box every now and then with my best player in Jarquez Hunter, one of my best players, than try and have Peyton Thorne beat somebody, that's worth their salt through the air. But again, I've asked Coach about this. Like, go back to the Oklahoma game in that third quarter. It didn't look like bad boxes to me the way they were playing on. Jarquez was just ripping them, like Superman, taking off his, hopping in the phone booth. So I wonder if this year you'll get maybe more designed run calls as opposed to even giving the quarterback the option. Because remember, against Oklahoma, when Peyton Thorne would pull it and throw it, Hugh Freeze was ripping him from the sideline because but you don't give him that chance. Now, an older quarterback should know, I need to hand this ball off. But I think you'll see some tweaks that will help alleviate that. But the biggest alleviator is having balance and being able to throw the ball. That's the biggest thing.
Synergy between quarterback and head coach is something that a lot of people are going to be looking at this year. Obviously, quite famously last year, Hugh Freeze and Peyton Thorne were not on the same page at key moments in the game. Going to be interesting to see how those guys are on the same page this year. Jake Crain from Crain & Co. I want to thank you for joining me. Before we get out of here, tell people.
Really easy. We talk a lot of Auburn. We're on Roku, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. I'm not smart enough to remember all the other ones, but CRAIN and Company. Got a great Auburn preview, too, with Cole Kubelik, and been talking a little bit about why you shouldn't panic about the recruiting as well. But just good to see you, buddy. Glad you're doing well. I'm really proud of you.
Guys, that's it. This segment is brought to you by our friends at the Rogue Shop. Visit rogueshop.com. Use code REPORT to get 15% off your Rogue Shop order. Pain, sleep, stress, anxiety, whatever ails you in life, the Rogue Shop has something that has you covered. Also, this segment is brought to you by our friends at Golden's Cast Iron. Visit goldenscastiron.com/WR. Use code GETYOURWEIGHT for 15% off your weights and code TWR for $65 off. Fire pits and Kamado grills. The summer is here. You want to be outside with your family. Work out, grill out, chill out with Golden's Cast Iron. Also want to thank our friends at the Vibe Vault. If you're looking to get fresh for the weekend, get your beer cleaned up, get your line up at the Vibe Vault. You can find them at 3462 Crosswinds Road, Suite E in Phoenix City, Alabama. That's right across the street from Chattahoochee Valley Community College. We'll be back at you guys with more Media Day coverage. Like and subscribe. Follow us on social media. We're signing off, and as always, Warrior.